Welcome to another episode of the LifeHugger podcast.
The 10th episode.
The 10th episode! I am Evelyn, and with me today is a very special guest, Eric, who happens to be my boyfriend.
I'm her boyfriend.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about long distance because Eric has been away for 11 months.
I was away for 10 months. I don't know. You keep saying it was 11. I was away for 9 months.
10 and a half months.
Like 8 months.
So we had a little taste of long distance.
Yes.
And I think it's something that most couples either have gone through, will go through, have thought about going through.
Yeah. It's hit them at some point in their life, probably.
Yeah. Or if not, then it probably will.
That shit is coming. And this is why you got to listen to the podcast.
And the big question with long distance is always, does it work? When I was looking up inspiration and like resources for this episode, all of the articles online were like, long distance, is it doomed?
Like
long
in that
distance.
voice, in that real clickbaity voice.
I heard it from the article. It's like, long distance, will it last? Does it work? And it seems to just have a bad rap. Or like,
Definitely.
It's always talked about in like such a black and white kind of thing, you know? Like it either works for everybody or it doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. And like, admittedly, going into it, did I ask myself, will this work?
Did you say it in that voice though? Long distance, will it work?
Basically, I definitely had some reservations. At times I was scared. I think, there's like a level of insecurity in me anyways that I had to really talk through with you. You guys probably don't know this, but I would say I'm more of the planner in the relationship. Is you have like a LifeHugger podcast and everything just gonna work out.
But since we started out with, does it work? So answer it in one sentence.
In one sentence. Yes, but with parameters. I think there is very specific things you need to address before you give it like a real shot. Do you want to tell them about like what you think long distance is?
So I think breaking up because of long distance is just a sorry excuse. Like, I think couples that break up because of long distance, they just use long distance as an excuse for every other thing that could have possibly happened. Like, you just fall out of love, or you like somebody else, or you slept with somebody else, or...
It's getting like real hot. But you don't think by like any measure is distance itself a reason that something might not work out?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Especially in this day and age when it's so easy to connect with somebody that is far away.
Yeah.
Long distance was definitely a reason for people to break up 50 years ago. Only
50 years ago? Like, you think video chat? You think like Google just changed a long distance relationship?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. You know what was the saddest, like one of the really sad things that I've seen? I went to this museum once. I can't remember where or when, but it was like a war museum, and then they had all of these unsent letters because the people had died.
Dude, that's so sad.
Isn't that just so sad?
I don't know why we ended up there, but that's really sad.
But that's long distance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it used to be.
That's what it used to be. Yeah. And like the letter that you wrote would get to somebody a month later and you don't even know the state of their existence.
Yeah, like status.
Yeah.
No, not available.
But these days, status, you just open WhatsApp, even if that person's not on it, it says status, last seen an hour ago.
Like, and maybe that's why there is more anxiety with it now.
Because of status? Like you see, this person was online 10 minutes ago, but he didn't reply me.
Maybe.
Break up.
I would never do that. Maybe we see differently on this because I know you've been in a long distance relationship. I have not. But my examples are friends, close friends, mostly from high school. Right? And I see that now that it's a poor example of a long distance relationship. But they'd be all cute together, like high school sweetheart, blah, 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 like so boring. And they all go to...
Cute, boring. Yeah.
But then they all go to college in different cities. They start this new chapter in their life. And 100% of the time, they do something stupid and it doesn't work. I think that probably influenced me when it comes to, do I want to give this a shot?
Yeah.
I also think, just like me personally, I think you have to build a foundation first. And it gets hard when there is that distance and there's that time difference.
See, my theory is like two people, you just go your own ways. And then 2 years later, you're still together, then you're still together.
It's such a dope approach. I think once you actually did tell me, you're like, being in the same place is a privilege. Like, it's okay if we're not in the same city or anything. Yeah. And at that time, I just didn't understand what you were saying. But I think I know where you're coming from, more
Yeah.
so now that we have tried this. Do you want to maybe share the story of your long-distance relationship with that loser?
So kind of like your high school experience. So I was with somebody in my gap year after high school.
Oh, very cool of you.
All right, all right. And it was in Shanghai. And then after we left, we went to different cities for college. The relationship just died.
It just died.
It just died because I think, and again, I don't think that it was the distance, but the distance shed light on the differences that we have. When you're living in the same like foreign city, it was a gap year, so it was very temporary. You kind of have the same lifestyle, you know, like you're surrounded by the same friends, you go to school, you have the same schedule.
Right.
And then it just seems like, oh, we have so much in common. We have all the same interests, you know?
And it's exciting. Like, it's so new.
And then you go your separate ways and you realize, like, oh, we're actually very different people. And it just didn't seem like that because we were just living the same pattern while we were abroad. So, yeah, I think regardless of distance or no distance, we would have broken up.
Yeah. Did you break up with him?
No, he broke up with me. And that's the same with your high school relationship. No, with your high school examples. It's not about distance.
It's not. I think that was yeah. So that's what I thought long distance basically was. But that, I think, is more in terms of you're exploring, you're finding new things. And gotta be honest, though, there was an element of that, even for me going to LA for so long.
What do you mean?
I thought, like, I'm gonna be in a new city, or not a new city, but I really haven't lived there since growing up.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like, I'm gonna be living life in one trajectory. You might be here meeting some cool, less good-looking people to hang out with or something. And though irrational, like, that uncertainty, I think it's kind of real. I think the question is, like, does it work? Like, I don't think it's so black and white anymore, for sure.
Right. Yeah, like, I think it could definitely lead to couples growing apart. But again, I would say that happens even when you're in the same city.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you just had a conversation with a friend who said, like, she would never try, even if she likes someone, because it might just set the stage for failure.
Yeah, so her story...
I'd like to recommend that she tries it out if she really likes
So her story is that she went on a trip to Europe, met some dude, had
so
a fling,
romantic, though.
you know? And then she comes back here, and he still texts her saying, like, oh, I would really love to visit you. And then she goes, no, this will never work out.
Poor French dude.
Poor French dude.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think if she was, like, really interested in him, I think she would say yes.
Oh, so he's not that good or fun.
I think so. That's what I mean by, like, distance. I think because it's not as fun when you're seeing somebody so far away, you can't hang out in the weekends, and it takes more work to make it work. So I think if you don't like that person so much, then you wouldn't even try it.
It's hard to invest that much more.
Yeah, but I think if you really like somebody, I think you would.
Do you think we should crowdfund and then maybe fly him out here to see what happens? That'll be so fun. You're like, hey, we had an idea
ready to come
on the
here,
podcast,
but she doesn't want him to.
But we also know couples who, like, absolutely have to be in the same city together.
Yeah.
So there definitely is this
like
big
Eric
spectrum.
a year ago.
That was me a year ago.
Yeah, but I think we've come out better.
Have we?
We had a lot of issues.
No, I definitely do think so. I guess one of the pros is that we certainly communicate better.
Yeah.
You have to, because you have less words to do it in when you're far apart. So you have to be more concise with your speech. I think I read that in a book somewhere.
Yeah, I think we've gotten better with communication. And I think we were just kind of forced to, because when you're together...
We take it for granted. Like, those
you
things
take it for granted. We see each other, but then we don't always have, like, the deepest conversations. But then when you're apart, that's all you got.
Definitely being finite, though, was big when we knew that there was an end to it.
Yeah.
Was there, like, a specific thing that you thought was more challenging than you anticipated?
Yeah, and that would be having to eat outside every day. Because when Eric is here, he cooks a lot. But about the relationship, nothing comes to mind right away. Do you think there was anything?
Yeah, there was a period when you were partying a lot. It was like 2 months. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Not kidding.
But there's also the time zone. In the beginning, we were really good about it.
Yeah.
We would talk when I wake up or when you wake up.
Right, so just to give context, LA is, I think, 15 hours behind.
Yeah.
Which lends itself beautifully to when I wake up, she's about to go to bed, and when she's waking up, I'm about to go to bed. So we have a small window 2 times a day.
Yeah.
We can actually, like, talk to each other.
But then towards the end, like the last 2 months, something happened. Oh, it's because I read a book on sleep. That was one of the reasons. I read a book on why we sleep, and
Walker.
I really wanted to get my 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day, because he says that if you sleep less than 6 hours a day, by like the 10th day, you become
a mushroom.
A mushroom. It was something like 10 days of sleeping less than 6 hours is pretty much like depriving of yourself of like no sleep for like 48 or like 3 days straight.
This
something
is
like
actually
that.
just like
which
a
is
fantastic
insane.
topic. People should 100% read the book.
We should talk about sleep.
God, we could talk about it forever.
Or it could be like this modern art display where
we just sleep.
Oh
my God, that's so modern.
And we zoom into the rapid eye movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so I tried to sleep more. You woke up in weird hours.
I did.
So then it became kind of hard for us to talk.
Yeah.
So actually, I think long distance, it also works better with certain time zones. Because there are time zones like New York. New York would suck.
Why would it suck?
Singapore, New York. It would literally be noon and midnight. I'd be at work.
I know, but it could
You'd
also be like
sleeping.
8 a.m., 8 p.m. Doesn't always have to be midnight.
No, you know what I mean, though? I think
it'll be a little harder.
some time zones are just harder than others.
Yeah,
8 a.m. I'd be getting ready for work.
As opposed to like realizing maybe the bad things, I think what ended up happening was, one, it like really shed light on how much I enjoy spending time with you. But there were some good positives and takeaways, like really nice things about doing long distance as well, right?
I loved it. Why'd you come back so soon? What were some of the things you liked about it?
I really liked that you have more time for yourself. And not in like a bad way or like we were spending so much time together, but even just texting. If we're in the same place, throughout the day we'll be sharing things and talking about things together, but you don't even have that opportunity. And so you kind of have like a lot of bandwidth opened up for that. Another thing, I don't know about you,
Wait,
definitely.
before, sometimes
What?
Eric would wake up, be like, you didn't text me throughout the day.
It's because sometimes I feel needy and I need love.
So no, that was not a benefit for me. What was your second point?
Oh, you definitely spend less money, which I didn't realize.
See, again, these are pros for you. They don't make a difference for me. When Eric is here, I spend less money. Kidding. I try to split everything with you.
We like to do things together, whether it's travel or go to a restaurant or go to an event. And then when I'm by myself, I'm like hanging out with the dog.
You just hang out with your dog.
Yeah.
You just
buy just for that reason.
You just buy like dog treats.
Yeah.
With time, you get to spend that fostering friendships or spending time with your family, right?
Huge for me, and then for you, you like really found new hobbies and people to do things with.
Yeah. Like I think I spent more time with my family too, like going to Japan, flying back to see them.
Right.
And yes to hobbies, because I didn't have a lot of other plans on the weekends, so I would just spend like the full day doing pottery.
I'm moving back to LA. You guys should all do long distance relationships.
Yeah. So through this podcast, we realized that life was just better when we were apart. And now we're spending more money, less time.
Yeah, but those are some things that definitely were a nice surprise.
And what do you think are some tips? I mean, I don't think we're like qualified to give tips.
We're for sure qualified.
We're experts on this.
I feel like I'm an expert.
What are some of the ways to make long distance fun and fulfilling?
Yeah, so we've talked about and tried to do some of these. Maybe pick up a book together on sleep, perhaps.
On sleep. And then go to sleep and not talk to each other.
Yeah. What else you could do? We tried to do this. It didn't really work out. We both really like religion, or just the concept.
Oh my God,
of
that's
religion.
what we tried to do. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
So we assigned each other some different religions.
Yeah, I was supposed to learn about Jehovah's Witness.
I was going to do like Buddhism or something like
or
that.
I think maybe Islam.
Yeah. And we were going to go through, so like 1 week it's that, and then the next week we do different religions. But the idea was that we were supposed to go learn it by ourselves and tell each other about it when we speak.
Yeah. And so we kind of built out an agenda and like a schedule for it. It didn't end up happening, but that's a really cute way to stay connected and learn some cool stuff.
Yeah. What else?
If you could travel together.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
If you're far apart, then you might want to meet somewhere in the middle.
Right.
I've seen some weird, like, Japanese technology where you can buy some robot that hugs you.
Dude, you
program
can mold
it.
You can mold like your penis into a dog. There's some weird things out there.
Oh, and one thing I think is, and I think at times we kind of forgot this too, is that we would talk to each other in between activities. Between waking up and
taking a shit.
You did this a lot.
Okay, is this a bad thing or a good thing?
It's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing?
Because I think when you're together, you make time for each other, right? You set aside time. You're like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to take a shit, and then I'm going to go and hang out with you.
Oh, so you felt like I wasn't setting time specifically
and I think that when you're apart, it's the same. You still have to just set time to deliberately speak to somebody, even though that might not be the most exciting activity.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I made you're slot between poop and...
But doesn't that make sense? Like, you just still have to just make time for somebody.
You got to manage that.
Yeah, rather than like, oh, I got to go here, I got to go there. I'll talk to you for 2 minutes in between. Yeah. So I think communicating, making time for each other, because you would do that anyway if you're together.
Yeah, because you don't want it to be just out of convenience. You still got to put in that work, if not more, to be honest.
Exactly.
And I think overall we did a great job.
And we're still together.
It's a healthy relationship. We're going to hold hands on camera. To people contemplating doing it, what would you say?
If you really like somebody, I don't even think you would need suggestions. Like, if you really love somebody and you're committed, no question. Like, why would that change if you're apart, you know?
Well, I don't know. I think it could. I don't know. You don't have to bully people into doing it.
I think only when you're already thinking, I don't want to be with this person, then long distance comes and you're like, yes, that is my opportunity to break up with this person I've been wanting to break up with.
Right. I think for most people, maybe not that, but the trouble might be like that anxiety that comes up, like what's going to happen if we do it. And that shouldn't be the reason, I would say now, to not give it a shot. Right? Because that's letting like the fear kind of dictate your decision, which probably I have in the past. But if you're on that fence, I would say for sure try it. And just know you're going to have to make some real adjustments. If you don't like the person, then 100% just fuck it and get out of it as soon as possible, because then I'm in your camp. It's probably not going to work out regardless. But I'm glad we had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on the LifeHugger.
Wait, you're ending this?
I'm going to end it.
You're going to end this episode?
I'm sorry, I feel like we've been talking for a while.
That brings us to the end of this podcast. Thank you for listening, and thanks for...
In the shallow.
We'll end with the song.
In the shallow. In the shallow.
We're going to include this in the episode. All right. Thank you for listening to the 10th episode of the LifeHugger podcast, and thank you for being on the show.